Four, three, two, one, action.
I love the countdown.
Welcome to Racking Our Brains. I'm Paul.
And I'm Abdul, and today we're discussing something that we've been thinking about, and I hope you'll think about it too.
I'm most excited to learn how other people feel about topics I'm passionate about.
We know you have something to share, so leave a comment below.
Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you get our newest discussion.
Ladies and gentlemen, your favorite podcasters, Paul and Abdul, are back, and we're talking cancel culture tonight. So, once again, this is a Paul topic. I'm happy to discuss. I think this is definitely interesting. But, Paul, frame this up for us. What's on your mind about cancel culture?
Hey, Abdul, I just have one really quick question. When are you going to have a topic?
All right. Technical difficulties starting this one up. Hopefully, we can work in that awesome 8-second countdown that Paul had. But the last thing you asked me was, why don't I think of topics? I proposed topics to talk about. This just seems to be some kind of dictatorship, and I'm just rolling with the flow here. But we're talking cancel culture, and before I get canceled, why don't you frame this up again?
To be honest, I want to try to define cancel culture, right? Like, I think first and foremost, whenever we have a conversation, we should try to define or create parameters that we can work in so that we're not just responding to the same comment from 2 different people or 5 different people who have 5 different understandings of a term. So my understanding of what people are calling cancel culture are, I'm being very honest. I'm not trying to, kind of set up a straw man, but cancel culture, it really doesn't even, you don't even have to get canceled to be a part of cancel culture. You just have to be complaining about something that the person doesn't want you to complain about, or doesn't feel like your complaint is reasonable.
Well, hold on. You phrased that weirdly. You said you don't even have to be canceled, which sounds like the target of what people might call cancel culture. But then you shifted to you just have to be complaining about something, which sounds like you're talking about the people doing the canceling in what people call cancel culture. So I guess, am I getting that right?
So the truth of the matter is, let's just say I am a bleeding heart, like vegetarian, right? As a matter of fact, you and I had a nice little vigorous argument earlier today about some dude who went to the hot dog eating contest and threw up a sign and got thrown down in milliseconds. But ostensibly, he was protesting against the slaughter of pigs or how they're treated or whatever. I don't know. Right?
Okay.
He would be seen as a part of cancel culture, but he's not the canceller, right? The canceller would be, I guess, Smithfield, the company that makes those products, right? If they decided, you know what, we're going to listen to, Rodney Toussaint, who went up there and tried to fight Joey Chestnut. He makes some really good points. So we're going to stop killing pigs. So now, going forward, all our hot dogs are made of sunflower seeds. Right. So in that situation, the canceller is really corporate America. It would be Smithfield. It would be the clothing company that changes their products, or governmental or TV channels or television stations that change their programming. They're the real canceller, right? Because they have the power or the choice to listen to protests or to not listen to protests.
I don't.
Right? Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know that I agree with that line of thinking. I sort of see where you're going. You're saying, well, the only one who truly has the power switch in reach is the company themselves or the corporation themselves
Right.
in this instance. But I think when people say cancel culture, or the example we're describing now, given the short research I did, and I'm assuming you got too because you shared some of the same videos, this is really more boycott culture. And philosophically, either way, no matter what you name it, I still think, I mean, whether you want to rename them like the catalyst for that change, the point is Smithfield doesn't make that decision without assuming they did, right? You have this hypothetical setup that they decide to make hot dogs out of sunflower seeds. They don't make that change without this guy running on stage, which is how you set it up, right?
Agreed.
Right. So I think the argument could still be made that the boycott or the quote cancellation, if that's how you want to label this guy, the canceller, I think it is still that which started it. And it doesn't matter that he by himself couldn't flip a switch to actually make the change to make hot dogs be made of sunflower seeds.
No, but that has to be the case, right? Because name a company or a product or an event that has absolutely zero dissent. Are you thinking right now?
I literally couldn't hear you until you said, "Are you thinking right now?" Where are you running off to? You sound like you ran away from the mic. More ice cream. Fucking A. Just straight back.
No, stop. I'm not eating ice cream. It's way too early for ice cream on a Friday night. Now, you know my rules. No, so did you hear the question? You heard the question. No?
No, I didn't.
I said, name a company, corporation, or event that has zero dissenters. You didn't hear that.
No.
Okay, so now you heard it. Okay.
I think that's fine. I would agree. It seems like a rhetorical question, and I would agree that there are none.
Okay,
Um,
so if there's always going to be a dissenter to something you did or something that is being done, whether it's rock and roll or dissenters to the Vietnam War, dissenters to all wars, dissenters to welfare, dissenters to universal health care, you would think that everybody would fucking want universal health care. But no, they're dissenters to that. They're dissenters to everything. So when did cancel culture start? I don't give a fuck about the phrase, but when did it start? Always, correct? There's always somebody saying, that's a bad fucking idea. Don't do it.
well, yeah, again, now we need to go back. So you started this conversation by saying, let's define it. And when you came to me and said, let's do cancel culture on the show, my idea of what cancel culture was is very much what you were describing now with the hypothetical of this guy coming after Smithfield. It was like cancellation of corporations, which, given the research that I did with whatever articles and videos that have covered it, that's more defined as boycott culture. And I think that has been around for longer. But are we talking about that inclusive in an umbrella that we are discussing as possibly cancel culture as some nebulous concept? Or, and I think some of the videos you shared defined cancel culture as more of the targeting of individuals, particularly celebrities, and the fact that those individuals could be without job or without leaving an instance with reputational damage and whatever that is, right? That is the cancellation. That is what has become known as cancel culture.
Right, but part and parcel of that definition you just gave, I mean, I'm not sure why you're making a distinction from a person and a corporation, right? Fox News has tried to be, people definitely want to cancel Fox News because they think it's abhorrent and despicable. Um, Certain corporations, whether it be McDonald's or fucking Apple, and sweatshops, supposed sweatshops, who knows? Um, but the real point is, I don't like something that you're doing. I am not going to get into the semantics of scale. Oh, this is just one guy who's a local whatever, or this is a famous person, Michael Jackson or Lady Gaga, or some shit. I don't know. And, you know, I'm making a big deal about it on the interwebs. At the end of the day, cancel culture to me is there is a person or an entity or a venue, even a venue, that has detractors who are calling for its secession, right? To something to completely cease or to no longer have access to its prominence for whatever reason. And at the end of the day, that shit happens every day to and for everybody. Guaranteed, I've been tried. People have tried to cancel me.
Yeah, I feel like we have a loose framework for this discussion.
Okay, so that's fine, but we can still speak to the specifics, right? So let's just jump on Jordan Peterson. They created a law in Canada saying that, students, and I don't even know if it's a law from a legal standpoint, but a rule at the university at which he teaches, excuse me, saying that if a student wants to be called they or him or her or it, then you have to use their pronouns, right? And he's like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm gonna use the pronouns I feel like using. And he feels that his freedom of speech is being infringed upon. But I think inherent in cancel culture is this idea that there is a overly sensitive, overly entitled, pathetic, weak contingent of people who are using guilt and or pity to strong arm society into changing to make them feel comfortable. That's what I genuinely think opponents of cancel culture think.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I think I sent you a Dave Chappelle one where I don't know what the, bro. At some point in time, I think becoming rich and famous and powerful or whatever, it just makes you a fucking warped individual. Like he told this story about doing a set where um, there was an Asian woman and a Hispanic man, and I guess she was you assaulted.
Yeah, I don't know if it's from a
I
link
mean,
you sent me. It must have been because I literally just watched it before we fired it up.
right. So for the people in the back, um, Asian man, I'm sorry, Asian woman, Hispanic man at his venue, and he's telling some jokes. She's offended. I'm sorry. She's offended because he's smoking. He decides not to put it out because she's being a bitch. His words, not mine. Um, and then one of what he thought was a poignant message was, and this woman had the nerve to try to call me racist because he said, he made the joke that their child is going to be one of the hardest working people around, i.e., stereotypes of Asian people working hard, being really smart, and Mexicans being really hardworking, right? And so she calls him bigoted or racist or whatever.
Yeah, the wording was.
And then he
we're
said,
hearing his account of what she said to his promoter, but the wording was, and he was insensitive to my interracial marriage.
I'm not even sure how that works, but okay. Um, so then he goes, if she would have done a little research, she would realize that I'm a part of an interracial marriage and my significant other wife is Asian.
So
As if that were the fucking, as if that means something in this context. Like,
yeah,
you know, I am impervious to being insensitive or racist because I fuck the same people that you are.
completely agree.
Like I, right? It's just so. Let's just say everything he said was true about her and him. They both sound like morons, right? And that's usually my comment about most quote unquote cancel culture situations is that both people are being jackasses, right? Somebody's being way too sensitive and way too privileged in the sense of, yo, I'm at this, like, I'm at a performance with 15,000 other people or even 500 other people, and I don't like what you're saying. I'm not going to get up and leave. I'm just going to make you shut up. What? You sound like a fucking moron. Something tells me you went there to see the show, whether it be music or comedy or whatever. You don't like it. Cool. Get the fuck up and leave. You have that power. But on the other hand, when people feel like, yo, I should be able to say whatever I want to say and nobody should have an issue with it, that's dumb too.
Got it.
Right? So you should expect it. As a comedian, as a musician, like, are you retarded? You think nobody's gonna not like your lyrics because you use the bitch? Because you call women bitches, or you talk about drugs, or you talk about whatever? Like, somebody's not gonna like it. Does that mean you're trying to be canceled? No.
Well, I think there's a distinction that he's trying to make. It's not that, and I certainly don't think Dave. Some celebrities, some comedians, some people might feel the way you described, but I don't think that's lost on Dave Chappelle. He knows people will disagree with him. I think he's taking issue with like people coming at Netflix and being like, "Why are you carrying this dude?"
What's the fucking difference? Right? So if he knows that there's at least one retard in the crowd, that retard is going to go to his, like, that's what a Karen is. I'm gonna go talk to your manager. Who gives a fuck? Everybody gets called to the manager. Everybody's manager gets a call about them, except Abdul. No, I don't think
So
Dave Chappelle
your point is any professional should expect that even up to requesting termination, there will be dissent.
forget about professional. Everybody is going to get somebody saying, you're an idiot or an asshole, and I don't want you to be happy or successful. It's almost like you're saying, hey, everybody should be fucking reasonable. And we already know most people are not reasonable. So why are we bugging out? This is not new. McCarthyism was cancel culture, right? It was like, yo, we know for a fact that you're not communist. But if you're not xenophobic, white nationalist, Christian, whatever, I'm going to use that as an excuse to fucking get you thrown in jail or get you fired from your company because you're a communist. It's just a word, right? It's just a little, it's an epithet to use to categorize people that you don't like and to drum up consent against them. So number one, anybody who thinks cancel culture is new is an idiot, right? Because people have been trying to, like, so would you call cancel culture anybody who murders somebody because of their stance on something?
The ultimate cancellation?
I'm being serious though.
No.
Right. So if I murder my wife because she cheats on me, that's not cancel culture, right? Agreed. But I'm talking about, I don't know, somebody trying to kill Elvis Presley because they think his lyrics weren't demonic, but I don't know. When rock and
I
roll
mean,
came out, and they
what about political assassination? Shinzo Abe was just, I don't know if he was, it said campaign, but I don't know if it was his
right,
campaign. If he was,
right.
so is
So
that the
first,
hypothetical you're saying?
well, I
Or,
don't know if he was assassinated, right? We don't know what his personal life was. With those Japanese guys, they do a lot of weird things with, little girls' panties. But um, I would say I'm trying to use an example that's not like a movie star or something like that. Um,
no, but why are you making it? Because you brought in murder altogether, which is completely outside of what anyone has talked about in cancel culture. So why are you bringing in like the murder has to be about some personal reason if it's a politician, right? You framed it as would you consider a murder cancel culture? I think it's a more interesting hypothetical if it's like would you consider a political assassination a part of cancel culture?
bro, were you talking this whole time?
Yeah,
Were you talking to me this whole time? What line is that from a movie?
I don't know.
Anyway, I couldn't hear you, bro. You cut off.
All right, let's power through. So the shit you didn't hear, I
Right. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was saying, you were talking about is murder should murder be considered cancel culture, and then we talked.
And that was super extreme, but I was like, let's use McCarthyism. You're familiar with McCarthyism,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so let's use McCarthyism, which is in the 50s, right? So that's a long time ago, a totally different dynamic to society and how people communicate. But go ahead.
Well, I kind of wanted to explore that hypothetical. Um,
I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, go.
we'll close out McCarthyism. Yeah, I think that's a perfect example of cancel culture, and it's not almost it is institutional, right? It's like government cancel culture, so it's almost different. But I think that's seems to be your point. This conversation, right? That the idea of canceling people in mass or individuals or companies or corporations has been around for a really long time. I don't think I can argue that. I'm more concerned about how we started this conversation in trying to define cancel culture, and you've extremely broadened it. But if I'm understanding you, it's with the intent to say it's just a different type of the same human behavior. Am I getting that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I can argue against that. I would be. I'm more interested, though, in talking about this specific cancel culture, which again in the research of what we went through shortly, it's while people agree that there doesn't seem to be a good definition, there is a more well-defined boundary than just the human behavior of trying to cancel or do away with or get someone to stop doing something. It is this idea of we're now in an era that we do have way more ability to get word out, right? So Joe Schmo, who just got wronged at Target, can go viral in a video and potentially ruin Target's reputation and or quote cancel them, or even a specific Target employee. So you get into an altercation, the Target employee insults the clothes you're wearing, and you're like, look at this clothes hating, judgmental Target employee. And they could lose their jobs at Target, right? So it's that idea and touching on the fact that you said opponents of cancel culture have said how incredibly weak is it for us instead of just walking away saying wow I had an encounter with a shitty person today to go after them to ensure that they lose something whether it's a bit of their reputation or actually financial gain by losing their job and potentially damaging their career. Um, and I agree. I don't want to say weak, but I agree with the notion that it is odd. Entitled, maybe, I don't think I could argue the word entitled, because you're sort of saying, like, hey, look at what happened to me. Can you believe this unbelievable thing happened to me? And you're trying to get people to say, yeah, wow, I could imagine if that happened to me, I would hate that. And wow, how did that happen to you? And then this sort of snowballs into potentially, okay, let's put aside the fact that we agree it happened to you and it's awful. Now let's go after the person that did this to you. And entitled, yes. Weak, I don't know. But I will say plainly, I don't like it. I don't like boycott culture. I think the way you put the stand-up comedy hypothetical, I mean, you were addressing the specifics of the story Dave Chappelle was recounting, but I feel the exact same way. And I don't know if it was on a recording in one of our episodes, but we did talk about comedians who toe the line or are habitual line steppers or are dangerously close to being offensive or need to be really creative in how to do it, whereas others are just grossly offensive and you could imagine feeling a certain way or having certain opinions on the subject matter they touch on. And I want people to react the way you described. If you don't like it, just get up and leave the show. If you're watching on television, just turn off the television or change the channel. I don't like, and I wouldn't mandate or write laws against it either way, but I don't like when it's like I need to get someone else to agree with me in order to feel good. I mean, maybe there I would use the word weak. It is weak of you to be like, I can't stand with my own opinion. I need some sort of confirmation that people feel the same way.
I don't even think it's confirmation. Okay, two things. The subjectiveness of being offended, of being offensive, right? Because you and I have sometimes very drastically different opinions on what is offensive. Um, and I think I'm objective. I can objectively say when, oh yeah, I'm being offensive, right?
Okay.
I'm comfortable with it. I'm gonna do it, but I know that I'm doing it. Versus other times I'm like, no, this is not offensive. You're just being a clown. Um, so I think you and I could find ourselves in a quote unquote cancel culture situation in the sense of you don't think I should be saying the things that I say. Now, how
See,
far you would how
yeah,
far you would go to then silence me is the crux of the matter, right?
exactly. And I think that should be a part of if you and I are going to redefine, or if when people are talking about this, they're going to try to define what cancel culture is. It has to be that next step, has to be included because I see your earlier points about there is just this human nature of disagreement. And then I have choices afterwards to not talk to you anymore, to not talk to you for a moment, to just, let's say, end a phone call, to not talk to you for days or weeks or months or whatever until, I don't know if that's just the way I treat arguments where I just step away. It's not me, but you and I specifically, I'll try to call you out. We'll have that conversation right there, whether it's via text or on the phone. Yeah, it is that next step of saying, and who knows? I mean, there may be a line. I think you and I have a good enough relationship, a long enough relationship where I wouldn't want to lose that for life. So that line is pretty far out there, I would imagine, where I feel like, wow, said something, especially said something, did something, yes, but said something that would make me feel like canceled from my life. But yeah, it has to be that next part where it goes beyond someone just feeling like I disagree. It's I'm taking action to remove this person. Well, in that very specific hypothetical, taking action to remove this person from my personal life. But really, the modern, and again, most of the stuff we looked at, the modern definition seems to encompass like going after someone who is in a professional position and saying they need to be taken down, right? Because it's more than just a personal relationship being severed.
Right, but the other side of that same coin, I believe, is that's kind of how democracies work, right? Like whether you're going to call it a vote for election or whatever, like you not liking boycott culture is you just not liking democracy, because that's what a democracy is. My vote is to say I don't think Tucker Carlson should fucking exist anymore. Now, me personally, that's why I use the word weak. I'm strong enough to say, yeah, Tucker Carlson is there. I'm just not dumb enough to understand, to agree with, or be bamboozled by the dumb shit he says. But a lot of people are really, really dumb and gullible. So I can understand why somebody would want to take Tucker Carlson away. Me, my personal approach would be to strengthen people so that they are no longer vulnerable to Tucker Carlson. Because taking Tucker Carlson away doesn't stop Tucker Carlson, 15 years from now, from rearing his ugly head and doing the exact same thing, right? So that's where I believe the weakness comes in. Like, be strong enough to say, get it, I'm cool. Racism should not bother you. Like not verbal racism, not rhetorical racism. Obviously, actual discrimination in services or your rights is disgusting and should legally be protected. But I don't give a fuck who's using the N word or the K word or the whatever the words are. Like bad words, like they're for children. And to be honest, I've already said this. You want that person to speak their mind. So you know who the retards are, and we can avoid them. But that's what a democracy is. That's what a society is. You get to the point when you now identify the people that you don't like because they're weak, rude, mean, bigoted, stupid, whatever the words are that don't resonate with you. You identify those people, and slowly but surely we get into our own little enclaves of who we fuck with intellectually, socially, metaphysically, spiritually, whatever the case may be. Like instead of, but I don't have a problem with the quote unquote cancellation. I'm sorry, the attempt at cancellation, because that's what a democracy is, right? So we're trying to cancel Donald Trump for lack of a better term, right? And he got canceled technically, right? He lost, right? But he got a whole bunch of fucking votes, which really means there's a whole bunch of people who fuck with that dude. There's a lot of people who fuck with that dude. What was it like? I don't know, 75-70 that he lost by 5 million votes or something like that. Whatever the case may be,
I don't
five or
even know
six
what the
million votes.
final count was, but it was record. The thing that he was stuck on was was a record number. And how did I lose? Because there can't be more people once there's a record number. Um,
Yeah, he's mechanically retarded. But my point is, I'm okay. Like, you have to be okay with people who dramatically disagree with you in the most heinous of ways. As long as it's verbal, it's not physical, it's not tangible. You have people over there who hate Jews or who hate Muslims or whatever. You can do that. You can go over there and have a club of I hate Muslims. As long as you don't physically bother Muslims or do anything to Muslims. Because that's what a free society is. And I think cancel culture is just people fucking crying because they don't want to have to deal with other people verbalizing their their grievances. Now, not all cancel culture grievances are frivolous and stupid. Some of them have, are quite, substantive and probably deserve to come to fruition. But once again, that's a vote. That's a thing where if enough people say it, it's going to happen. So, I mean, yeah. Once again, I have a problem both with the term cancel culture, pretending that it's something new, pretending that it's this generation, these, weak-minded cucks of, this time and age, blah, 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 blah. That's not the case, number one. That's problem number one. Problem number two is on both sides of the street. I'm not picking on Dave Chappelle, but in this situation, the person in power who's like, oh, you know what? Damn it, man. I wrote this guy on YouTube. I think it's his son who has the channel. Young guy, young kid, maybe 13, 14, 15 tops. And dad is, probably in his late 30s, 40s. Yeah, probably 40s. Probably not in his 50s. And he, burly guy. He's always in his tool shop or workshop. And he kind of always has the same thing of, toughen up, and your generation is so pussy or whatever the situation is. But this one happened to be about Roe versus Wade and abortion, and he was ranting about how Roe versus Wade didn't it made abortion legal, but it didn't say that you weren't killing a baby. And I just didn't. I'm not. No, I understand where he's coming from. He's a moron, and he's just going to use the the psychological tools that he has to try to impose his stupidity on others. But he's basically, what he's saying is that the Supreme Court gave you the right to kill babies, not the right to have an abortion and have a choice over your body. And it's so simple and it's trite, but could you tell? First of all, something that blew my mind, I just found this out. This heartbeat bill bullshit, it's not the heart that's beating. It's electricity coming from the clump of cells that will become a person.
Yeah, it's 6 weeks when you can detect this thing. It is.
Yeah,
Like
but you don't have a heart in 6 weeks.
No, yeah, I'm just talking about the overall size of the embryo. I think at 10 weeks, it's like an inch. So at 6 weeks, it's probably half an inch, to your point, of a clump of cells. You don't have anything remotely resembling a heart. So to call it a heartbeat, as you said, is beyond the pale.
Yeah, man, it's just so stupid. There's so much that is so just dumb about this on so many levels. On so many levels. And he's yelling and ranting and raving about, oh, I know what it is. You guys just don't want the guilt of what you're really doing. What?
Yeah, wait,
You're
in what
saying that?
sense?
So basically, what he's saying is that once Roe versus Wade was passed, that people who normally would have possibly committed suicide from the guilt of killing their baby, they feel just fine now because 9 strangers said it was okay.
What?
Well, he didn't say that, but he's saying that
You're trying to
what
absolve
he's saying
yourself
is
of the guilt.
what he's saying is that people want so badly for Roe versus Wade to stand up because it makes their guilt go away. But like, does that even make any fucking sense? Like, if you're emotionally that distraught by the situation, the Supreme Court is going to fix it? It's going to make it all better? The arguments on the other side of this argument are just like patently, just insanely irrational
So
and
to tie it in,
uninformed. But go ahead,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
that's
Yeah,
okay.
so go ahead.
To tie it into cancel culture,
Yeah, so this man, this person feels that, um, I guess how does that tie into cancel culture? Like,
I'm trying to think of
it's
what made you think about that video.
well, because it's like he thinks he knows what makes other people tick, and that's a part of what cancel culture I think is that, to your point of, you're trying to recruit people to feel exactly how you feel about this person or about this situation, so that we can then amass enough energy and or consensus to remove it from the public space, when really you just need to remove it from your personal space.
You
right? Like, I'm not even sure why
to
you
get it
need
out
to
of your,
recruit people. Say it again.
you just want to get it out of your personal space. You're saying the person who's doing the canceling wants to get it out of their personal space.
No, they want it out of everybody's personal space.
Well, sorry.
Like,
When you said what you really want is,
what you really want is for everybody not to like it, because that's going to make you really feel good. Like, so if I hate beef jerky, I just don't buy it and I avoid it. But if I want, like, why would I need everybody else to hate beef jerky? It doesn't make any sense.
yeah,
But that's a part of, and so the problem here is that both sides have an argument, right? So if you're trying to cancel Harvey Weinstein, you have a really good argument. This dude is a fucking piece of shit, and he's like a vile piece of animal. But I think you know my stance on this. I'm a victim blamer. Like, if you've heard stories about how horrible Harvey Weinstein is, why the fuck are you going to his hotel room?
I
Yeah, but I want to my career. Okay, well then that's what your anus is worth. Your career.
I think that's a different conversation about power dynamics. I think the better point
I'm
about
gonna fuck. No, 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 no. Fuck you and stop that. Fuck
I
you and
was
stop that. You don't have to be an actor, sir, ma'am. It, they, hippopotamus. You don't have to be an actor. And you don't have to work for fucking Harvey Weinstein. You can work for somebody the fuck else. Stop pretending that Harvey Weinstein is the one and only gateway to you having the career that you want. And if he is the one and only gateway, then go get fucked or go suck his dick. Because the only reason he's that powerful is because other people are doing exactly what you're doing. You're the problem, not those other people. You're the problem. Because as soon as you stand up to him, then maybe other people will stand up to him. And then he will not have that power dynamic. He wasn't born with that power dynamic. He's being given that power dynamic by people like this person who's like, you know what? The fuck am I gonna do? I mean, like, I got offered 2 million by Paramount, and I'm being offered 4 million by Harvey Weinstein. I gotta go with Harvey. That's what my career is all about. Okay, well then, $2 million is what your virginity is worth. I don't have a problem with that. But don't cry to me that, oh, we gotta get rid of Harvey Weinstein. You went to his fucking hotel room, and half of these women knew his reputation. I'm sorry. I said mean and awful things. I said fuck you and stop it. Explain to the audience why you think that this is different or not as bad.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an interesting thread through a lot of our episodes. You yourself have very strong agency, and the same way that you talk about people in general being less capable or naive or gullible or what have you, they're preyed upon by people who manipulate that, who take advantage of that situation. And it's easy to say, yeah, obviously, if no one gave him the time of day, he wouldn't have that power, he wouldn't think to do it, etc. But the truth is that has existed forever. That's just how people are, and there's people who take advantage of that. The P.T. Barnum, there's a sucker born every minute, right? I don't think it's as simple as like, hey, just stop. I I would love to think that I feel the same way you do, right? That I wouldn't let that happen to me. I don't know what that's like. I don't know what it's like to be in a situation where I feel like, I guess I don't know if I wanted something that much. If I have wanted something that much, but
That's not particularly true. I don't think, Abdul. I think what you're doing is you're asking yourself, has any woman ever or man, I guess, ever you know put you in a position where you know he or she wanted sexual favors or something widely inappropriate? But you damn sure have been asked to stay late when it's not, or to do somebody else's work when it's not your fucking fault. right? Or to stay late, or to come early, or to drive, or to do something way above and beyond what you should be able to do, should be doing, or what you're being paid for. And you've made that decision. I'm gonna fucking do it because I want to keep my job, because I know it's a stepping stone, because I'm scared of what's gonna happen. And it is simple. Simple does not mean that it's easy,
Simple in
right?
principle.
Right. And these women aren't retarded. They know exactly what's going on. They just don't have the composition to get it done. And technically, I don't have a problem with that. I don't think you're a bad person if you suck some dick to get ahead. Is that an oxymoron? Suck some dick to get ahead? It's an oxymoron. What is that? Double entendre? Anyway,
I just don't know what it's like. I Because even your analogy of our known professional careers in the private sector as they exist today, um, there's not that element of, and maybe this is just a trope and it's not something that's really said, but I feel like we've heard it enough. The whole like you'll never work in this town again. It's more than it's more than it's potentially more than you're not going to get this role. It's you just won't be an actor or an actress ever. And someone may be that weak to be like, wow, my lifelong dream is on the line here. It's not, I'll just go down the street and make another movie or a TV show.
so, but okay, but who's the bad guy here? The person who
Harvey Weinstein.
offers a little. No, no. Before Harvey, no, no, no. So, okay, let's make a distinction, because I am a bad person, but I don't want to seem like a bad guy in this conversation. If Harvey Weinstein accosts you, like if you're riding in an elevator and he just does a Donald Trump, he grabs you by the medulla oblongata, like then that's a horrible thing, and he should go to jail. You should shoot him, kill him, whatever you want to do. I don't care. I'm all for it. But if Harvey Weinstein says, "Hey, do you want to come to my hotel room to talk about this acting opportunity?" and it's after like 4 or 5 drinks and it's 3 o'clock in the morning, sorry, ma'am, I don't want to hear this story, because you wouldn't have done that if it were Paul Jenkins or whoever the fuck I am, right? You wouldn't have done that. And your whole thing of you'll never work this out again, right? So are we doing the whole, like, so you have to reasonably do something, right? You have to defend yourself, right? So that person, I'm gonna expect that person to walk away from that interaction and tell any and everyone, guess what Harvey Weinstein said to me? And then Tracy and Melissa and Tanya and Karen and everybody else is going to say, oh my God, he did that same shit to me. And then those fucking women should say, you know what? Fuck working in your town. I don't want to work where your behavior is accepted. That's the other part of the coin that you're ignoring, right? You should have a moral obligation to stand up to that piece of shit, because let's just say he says, you know what? I'm only going to fuck you once. And then you're going to have a great career. And you say, okay, cool. Hey, I've had sex with douchebags before and I never got anything from it. I'll have sex with this nasty old bag of, pork rinds, and then I don't have to do it anymore. But you have to know that another young lady is right behind you. Right? So, what moral standing do you have to say, you know what? No, I'm standing up. Whether I work or not, we have to stop him. And don't stop him after you fuck him. Don't stop him after he's fucked 15 girls or 25 girls. Stop him when he gives you the, what's that thing called? Indecent
Ultimatum.
proposal. Huh?
I said ultimatum, but yeah, I like
Right,
indecent
right, right.
proposal.
Same thing. Yeah, 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 yeah. Right? So I'm just saying, and trying to tie it back to cancel culture. This is a prime example of Harvey Weinstein should have been canceled, but not like this. Not like this. That was bad.
No,
That was bad.
that's a great line and a phenomenal callback.
But it wasn't. It probably wasn't that.
Is that Switch APOC? I forget that character's name in the Matrix.
I don't know. It's one of them.
Okay.
One of them is called Switch. One of them is called APOC. I'm gonna go with Switch because I'm hoping that they're talking about her hips. She was actually pretty cute. She was kind of like a Bridgie Nielsen.
That is exactly who I was going to say, and I completely disagree that she was kind of cute. But that's fine.
Really?
Yeah. Oh my god, bro, this is going to take me 17 hours to edit.
No. Don't you cut the legs out of me, motherfucker.
No.
This is all.
Are you kidding me? No, man. No. This is getting sliced and diced.
Bro.
It's fine. Just focus.
That was funny.
So you went down an interesting road there. I don't agree. I've heard you. I don't think I have anything to come back with to sway you the other way. But you said your piece.
No. Yeah, but no. But that's not the point, right? The point is for the audience to hear your opinion, not for you to fucking sway me.
Yeah, no, and I don't have any more to say than what I've said. I do think I'm more forgiving of naivete. I think there's a limit because there are times where I agree with you.
You have to prove that they're naive, though, dude. You have to prove that. You can't just say, "Oh, they did something that's not in their best interest. They must be gullible and naive." No,
the other thing is, yeah, that's fine. That's
sorry,
absolutely true. That's absolutely true, and I agree with you. The other thing is, I don't think I know enough about the details of each case. Like, I don't know if it was get in the room and a rape situation, or if it was literally just a quote consensual encounter where they felt duped afterwards. Right? Those are two very different things. But he's going to. Did he go to jail? Is he going to jail?
I don't know, but I think it's a myriad of it's a number of those things, right? It's some of it is, the indecent proposal of, hey, come to my room, and now I'm gonna just kind of be really lewd and disgusting. And I don't know if he ever overpowered anybody, right? Because then that would just be regular fucking rape. I think it was a situation where they were like, I went to his room, and then he kind of did things to me that I didn't want to happen, but I let it happen because he was Harvey Weinstein. But then there are other situations. Where he really was like, for me, if you initiate physical contact with another human being, i.e., a la Rudy Giuliani. Did you see that thing with him getting slapped in the back in Staten Island?
Oh man, yeah, that was phenomenal. Which,
Yeah,
honestly, I watched it multiple times because I really tried to figure out who was the lady next to him who quickly rubs him on the back like he was a child that just got struck. Like, that made me question, like, was it actually harder in person? Because on camera, it doesn't look like anything.
No.
It doesn't look like anything.
No, it wasn't anything. He didn't move.
Why'd she rub him on the back? That was just so weird. Anyway. So I just pulled it up. Yeah, I just pulled it up. Weinstein was charged with 1 felony count each: forcible rape, forcible oral copulation, sexual penetration by use of force, and sexual battery by restraint. Whether or not this says was charged with sexual battery by restraint, so I guess the other charges were dropped against a third victim related to an incident in 2010. So, I mean, I think there is maybe both or maybe all across the spectrum of what you've described. My bigger point, again, because tying this back to cancel culture, and some of the videos that we watched touched on this, that is very different because it's not like, I don't like Harvey Weinstein, let's get him canceled. He did something criminal, and these women, or at least some of them, were looking for him to pay in court through the judicial system for that, not a public cancellation via Twitter. Like, don't go see his movies.
So that's not true, right? So that's not true. Like before he was found guilty of anything, millions of women and people, probably myself included, I'm probably in this camp. Okay, I'm not in this camp, but I support and understand where these people are coming from, right? Millions of people wanted him taken out of his position of power at his company, right? They just want, before he was found guilty of anything, and I'm not even sure what the whole situation is, but he they wanted him canceled way before he was, you know, criminally charged, and way before he was criminally convicted of anything. So no, not true. But once again, I don't think it matters because I think you have the right to do that. I think there's nothing wrong with trying to get somebody to no longer be happy because you think that they made you unhappy. Now, when I say you have the right to do something, it doesn't mean that I respect it. It means I understand that you have that right in a free society. And so for me, the bigger thing about cancel culture is, why are we bitching about people exercising their their right to be idiots? Like you have the right to be unreasonable. You have the right to be kind of ridiculous as a, you know, per se. I just think we should get way more mature about the situation and not overreact to people who might be overreacting. Right? Like somebody's got to be the fucking grown up in this situation, no?
So let's bring in one other element of this that was, again, a thread in multiple videos and sources about cancel culture. And that is that the last few years of what we've labeled as cancel culture has been, I don't want to say littered with, but made up in decent part by going through someone's past. And we led with Dave Chappelle, and he mentioned that in his mockery of
Mm-hmm.
the audience
Mm-hmm.
as cancelers, right? I'm going to go through everything you did, and even if it's 10 or 15 years from now, I will end you, or whatever the wording was. What's your stance on that? Does that strike you differently than just, to, in your words, we're in a free society, you should have the right to feel like, let's democratically get to a point where we understand that that's bad behavior? Is
Well,
is
first of
everything
all,
unforgivable for all time? Sorry.
you first. I'm not falling for this banana in the tailpipe trick again.
Oh, we can't have a. I asked you one question. You feel like I haven't said anything on the fucking show?
I didn't say you haven't said anything, but you always, I'm always going first. Which, and then the audience is like, "Look at that piece of shit asshole with his opinion." No, you go first, so they can.
Listen to this wild tiger circus monkey.
You're always
Uh,
setting me up for failure, motherfucker.
no, you knocking these out of the park. And I'm the moderator. God damn it.
No, you're not. Stop saying that. Stop telling people. Um,
I'll go first. I'll go first. That's fine. Um, I think it. I think like everything, it should be a case by case evaluation. The message seems to be that no one is safe for all time, especially given the digital record now with the internet, and that people will go back 10, 15, 20 years and find pictures and find messages and find articles that you wrote and whatever else, and they'll cancel you today for it, or something you do today, the same thing will happen 10, 15, or 30 years from now. There can be circumstances where, I don't know, someone was 8 years old and they repeated something stupid that their parents said in school, right? And they have no understanding of what was going on. And maybe that's really difficult gray area to navigate with age and where you assign responsibility to someone for their own thoughts. But I think there can be things that start off as unforgivable. Maybe unforgivable is strong, but where you're like, whoa, no matter how long ago this happened, I really question the character of this person. And after that, they'd have to have something really, really good to come out of that to say, yeah, I that's just not me anymore, or something, or I didn't mean that, or there is some rational explanation. I was literally on 17 different drugs and hooked up to an electroencephalogram or in an MRI machine or something, and it wasn't me controlling. Like, I can't think of the hypotheticals where that would matter, but we should allow people to learn and grow. And it is difficult to see, wow, something you did 20 years ago can possibly end you for a decent period of time. It probably doesn't end people for life. I will also say,
But like,
sorry, last point. I will also say there should be some things that are outright unforgivable or have some consequences that seem unforgivable. For instance, there are certain professions where if you're serving the public or you're working with children and you had some position that in the past that was dangerous to children, like, you're free to go do whatever you want else otherwise professionally. But yeah, there should be some kind of, I don't want this person around kids again. Or if you're an officer who was completely biased against a group of people, like, I'm happy to see you become a janitor, or I don't know, a construction worker or whatever else. I just want to know that you will never be in a position to serve and protect again because you've made it clear that you don't care about everyone equally. So I kind of rambled there, but go ahead.
what if they change their mind?
And that's what I was saying about, I want to be able to afford people that opportunity. I just don't know what would, in my mind, I don't know what I would need to hear in order to be like, yeah, I totally believe him. We were talking about this kid in Highland Park, right? We were talking about his dad co-signing on the ability for him to purchase firearms after he had threatened to kill everybody in the house and made an attempt on his own life, or talked about an attempt on his own life. What could he have possibly said? I'm thinking, if I'm the father, what could he have possibly said to be like, you know what, I totally believe him. I'm fine with guns in his hands. And I don't want to
Right.
go off
So
on that tangent, but yeah, in the case of what if someone changed their mind because or from something that they posted 10 or 15 years ago, I just don't know what I would need to hear.
right. So, but think about what you're saying as it pertains to canceling, right? Like, a cancellation doesn't happen because one person feels a certain way, correct?
Yeah, okay.
It's a preponderance of the not evidence, but it's a preponderance of the popularity or the consequences, a preponderance of the consequences of the situation. Usually, a corporation or a company or a business or a municipality or a situation says, you know what? I like you. I don't really care if you keep being a comedian or if you keep doing whatever you do. But unfortunately, it's fucking with my bottom line. So you got to go. You not being a comedian anymore doesn't mean you're a bad person. It means, and that's the fucking crazy part, you're a fucking comedian, right? Your job is to be popular. That is literally a part of what you fucking do. You sit down and think about what at least 51% of the population is going to find funny. Actually, not 51% because it doesn't matter, but you want at least 30% of the population to think that you're funny so that percentage of the people will come to see you, right? Like, you're playing a numbers game. So get the fuck out of here with this shit of where you don't have the right to vote on whether I'm funny or not. Actually, I do. That's literally my right. Is to say you're not fucking funny. And if I can convince other people that you're not funny, guess what? I win. Whether you're not funny or not, whether you're offensive or not, doesn't fucking matter. What matters is, Popularity. That's what democracy is. Popularity. What these people are trying to do, i.e., Dave Chappelle or anybody else who's railing against cancel culture, fucking Bill Maher, they're trying to insulate themselves from any fucking, I'm not going to say responsibility or culpability, but from any criticism, whether it's valid or not. That's a different conversation, and we can have it all day. But the real question is, can somebody say, fuck you, I want you out of here? Yes, they can. And if I can convince 800 other people of that, then those 800 other people don't like you that much either.
Yeah, but I'm trying to square that against what you said earlier when we first started talking about the people should just get up and leave. And you seem to agree with change the channel or turn off the television or whatever. But it now sounds like you're
Absolutely.
okay. Yeah. Then how
I
are
mean,
you also okay with if they try to
right.
gather
So
800 people?
this is not me prescribing information. This is me being a realist, which is I think usually your job in a situation. I'm usually the idealist, but I'm being a realist. The foundation of our society is people being having the right to express themselves positively or negatively. And if you want to express yourself negatively against somebody, you have that right. And if enough people, express themselves negatively, you're not going to have a positive, that person or that subject is not going to have a positive experience. That's just how fucking our society works. So whether I think it's the right thing to do or not, you're right. It's not the mature thing to do, but you have that right. So Dave Chappelle and Bill Maher and whoever the fuck else should just stop pretending that the thing that makes them powerful can't also be the thing that takes the power away.
I think
What makes them
that is
powerful?
a phenomenal point, and that is really well put. And in everything I've seen before today, and then all of the quick research that we gathered together, which was probably an hour worth of footage that I personally watched and a few articles that I've read, I don't think I saw that point being made. And that is a really nice, succinct way to put it.
Yeah, and I'm glad I said it that way because I think I was trying to say that earlier in different ways. But yeah, like that's the whole thing. Like they're trying to be impervious. And they're leaning on the shit. I'm a comedian. I'm gonna say wild shit. Like that's my job. Okay, cool. Excellent. Do it. But don't get mad when I punch you. Well, no punching, right? Obviously, I'm not. Don't be mad when I get mad at what you say, which is why you and I disagree about, I don't know, Jesselnick and, the guy from Australia and whatever. Like, whatever. Like we're gonna have the right to have our subjective opinions about these topics and how people, communicate them. And you live by the sword and you die by the
That was
sword.
exactly what I
They
was
want
going
to
to
live
say.
by the sword and they don't want to die by the sword. And the fucked up part is not the fucked up part, but the challenging part is because I feel the way I feel that the people who are quote unquote canceling are being slightly immature. The Dave Chappelles of this world have a point if we're coming at it from a ideological standpoint of grow the fuck up. You shouldn't be doing that, right? Grow up, just leave, because she's right. But you have that same right. It's to not be bothered by that one pregnant lady and her comment. Why are you making it seem like she's the worst thing in the world or that she exemplifies most people? She doesn't. Because everybody else seemed to have a good time that night. Why are you fucking focused on that? You know why he's focused on that? Because he knows it's a good fucking story to tell. Because he's a fucking storyteller. And he's just taking advantage of it. And I actually wrote that on the fucking video. I'm like, what the fuck was his point? You marrying a Filipino doesn't exempt you from being called a racist against Asian people.
I think that's completely separate from the cancel culture discussion, but it is a great point. That's sort of like,
Well, I'm just responding to what he actually said in that video.
yeah, but to your point, it makes him look weak, not in the context of cancel culture or being a victim, a potential victim of cancel culture. It's just a bad. It reminds me of an episode of The Office, the Ricky Gervais one, and one of his buddies' characters. Um, he's just this irreverent dude. The guy that was like the Todd Packer character on the American version, and he says something really misogynistic or does a few things that are really misogynistic, and Ricky Gervais talks about him. He goes, "It's just like my buddy says." He goes, "How can I hate women? My mom's one." It doesn't absolve you of being able to hate women. Like you could definitely be a misogynist, and in this case, you could definitely be a racist, even though you're married to a Filipino woman.
You could 100% not respect Asians or not respect women. There's a ton of people who are married and have daughters and don't respect women. Like literally, you fucking idiot. Like it's one of the dumbest things ever. But anyway, um, so yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, I'm gonna say that cancel culture to me is not a problem. Um, I think the cancelers are many times they're childish and weak and silly. But I think the people who are potentially being canceled are just as weak and silly and hypocritical.